Welcome, everyone, and thank you for being here. Welcome to Let's Chat MetaPower. My name is Anna Foley, and tonight our special guest is Courtney Lowe. And Courtney has quite a story of transformation. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an insight, but I know she'll go into more depth. Courtney, you shared with me that for over 3 years, you were having frequent migraines, experiencing chronic fatigue, you were progressively gaining weight, almost 30 kilos, having painful periods, and we're basically completely defeated by life. You were feeling down and, you were trying a lot of different things, spending tens of thousands of dollars on different supplements and practitioners and trialing different diets, being totally frustrated, getting migraines every time you exercise. And eventually, now we need the drum roll, eventually you found MetaPower. So I can't wait to hear, because you said in your message to me that it was quite quick that you noticed changes. So I'm going to pass it over to you now. Tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So when MetaPower first came to Australia, so I'm one of those late to the party people where, one of my best friends had been taking it for almost a year and saying like, please just try it. No. Anyway, nay, prove it, whatever. Who knows what was going on, being my own worst enemy or something. Anyway, the second it was like, it's coming to Australia, I was like, cool, I'll do it and I'll commit to it. And I had just happened to find out, like, I was just going through the ringer. The 3 years of chronic migraines and fatigue and stuff happened around the time that I had a car accident and sustained a whiplash injury. And yeah, like that was a bit to recover from. So I was treating the migraines as if they were stemming from that and treating, like, healing the body structurally. Now, it wasn't just me that was treating it that way. Like, all of the practitioners that I was seeing were kind of addressing it in that way as well, which didn't make any sense because I'd keep going, keep trying to strengthen the right places, and then I'd end up with a migraine. And it was only when I went for a run, because I could walk and that would be fine. And then I went for a run and I ended up with a migraine, and I was like, that's weird. Anyway, I just so happened to speak to like some more alternative people, a Chinese medicine student actually, and I got in touch with an Ayurvedic doctor. Now, at that point, the Ayurvedic doctor had told me it was like hormone related. And what he suggested was a protocol that costed almost $1,000 for a month supply. So that's $1,000 a month, not sustainable to majority of the population, right? And the people that could sustain that are probably still going to look at that and go, what? Why would I? So anyway, that kind of happened. And then I was like, hang on a minute, there's a couple of things that are like marrying up with what MetaPower is supposed to like offer people anyway. So I started MetaPower, and honestly, actually, after the first day, I'd felt more energy moving through my body, but I was also kind of like, placebo, like you can't count that as real. By day 3, I realized, and I documented a lot of my journey, which is how I have the memory. So I do highly recommend that for anyone that tries MetaPower, like documenting the physical, the emotional, the mental, anything that you've got going on in your body at all, so that then you can observe what happens. So I was also having a lot of trouble sleeping. I have for most of my life. And by day 3, I was like, hang on, I've just had energy all day. I'm mentally clear. I've gone to sleep. And I don't know exactly the timeline, but I was still getting the migraines, but they were less in severity. Like the severity was lower. They were less frequent. And I was able to, like, previous to MetaPower, if I'd get a migraine, that's me done. Like, it doesn't matter what I take, pharmaceuticals, anything, like I'm out for the day. Hopefully I'll come good by the next day. But with MetaPower, it was able to like balance it out and reduce, like, I would say from a 10 out of 10 to like a 4 out of 10 and then a 2 out of 10. Within 6 weeks, I had gone, and I was so nervous about it. I went to India and did like a pilgrimage, and I hiked like in altitudes above 3,000 meters high for 3 days. And I was like, how on earth is my body going to hold up? Anyway, I managed to make it through without getting one. 2 days after that, I did like end up with a migraine, but I was also like, I've just spent 10 days with people. Like, of course I do have one. Why would I want, like, why wouldn't I want to have a moment to contain myself? But I was like, okay, great. Came home and I've been pretty good on the migraine front since. There's been like a couple of kind of like, I'm here, be careful moments. And so I really get to observe that. But what happened from there was I became obsessed with the link between how MetaPower is actually supporting our hormones. So the migraines were hormonal. Sure, structurally can sometimes set them off, and like I'm still being cautious when I'm at the gym to not do specific things, right? But I can do whatever I want exercise-wise for the most part and be okay. My periods are so enjoyable. They're actually one of my favorite times of the month, believe it or not. So I had such severe like PMDD, endometriosis. This was like going back 8 years ago. I got these diagnoses, and through changing a lot of my lifestyle, going natural, using the oils, using Claricalm, a lot of that lessened, and like didn't really experience too many like hectic symptoms. But then it's been almost a year on MetaPower now, and for the most part, my cycles are really enjoyable. If I do get like a little bit headachy, it's like a migraine. It's more like a headache, and it's just like, hey, body's giving you a warning. What do you need to do? My passion has then become about educating on the link between our hormones. Oh, and of course, yes, I managed to lose over 10 kilos. So that was one of the most frustrating experiences for me. That I was like, hang on, I'm healthy, I eat clean, sure, I can't do the other exercises, but like I'm walking every day. Like, why is this happening? Essentially, like there's been times in my life where I didn't exercise at all, and maybe I'd put on 2 kilos, but this is like a little bit outrageous, and it's just continuing and continuing. So it was a lot slower in the beginning, but over like the last 6 months, it's kind of sped up. And what I put that down to is my hormones starting to regulate. What a lot of people don't know is that our blood glucose, which is what MetaPower supports us with, is so intricately linked to the way that the rest of our hormones respond. So this is like our endocrine system and our hormones that are responsible for like bleeding and ovulating and being a woman. This is like our cortisol levels. So lots of high stress in the body can really affect that. And anyway, so now here I am, and it takes me a bit to like reflect back on, and I kind of have to remember where I've come from sometimes, because if I have a day where I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I'm like, oh, MetaPower doesn't work anymore. I'm like, hang on a minute. You're a human. You're not meant to have like unlimited energy every day. Sure, that was your first 4 months, but you had 3 years of basically being a bed potato. Like you had some time to catch up on.
So you have high standards of yourself. Can I ask you about the chronic fatigue? Because in case someone's listening and might resonate with this, was that something that also MetaPower also addressed?
Yes. So that was something like the sustained energy was from day 3. I was like, okay, this is definitely doing something. And I definitely don't experience chronic fatigue anymore. I never do. I have days like if I've worked for 5 or 6 days in a row, I'm going to be tired. That's natural. That's human. I live a very active life. So like remembering what that difference is as well, but being able to like jump out of bed in the morning and feel good most of the month, we're women. If we still have our cycle, there are going to be days of the month that we have less energy. That's normal. And if we don't have our cycle anymore, then, we're still susceptible to like the changes of life. We're not one way. A lot of people, so my experience was 3 days. And I also know that, the timeline is not the same for everybody. I had a friend of mine, he's a male, who experienced chronic fatigue and a few other things, testosterone related. And he just said, like, he took it for a month, came off it, then took it for a month and a half. And he was like, he works away, FIFO, so he just didn't take it with him. And he said, I'm so glad there's not a specific, like, you're going to feel good after this day, because otherwise, like, I wouldn't know, other people wouldn't know. Like, his journey was, a little bit longer. It was a month and a half of taking it. It was like, boom, done. I really honestly so deeply believe that whatever we've got going on, the intelligence of MetaPower and doterra for creating it, oh my God, but the ingredients in MetaPower will target first what our body needs to repair more than what we think we need. So I was like, and this is what the Chinese medicine student said as well, that she was like, you know, your issue is your weight and your migraines, but they're secondary, they're a symptom. So addressing the other things first. Now, if my body was chronically fatigued, how is it going to have the energy to heal the migraines, to heal the weight, to heal like not sleeping well, to heal what's happening with my cycle? You know, so that came first. There are other people that take MetaPower who, you know, within 6 weeks lose centimeters around their belly, which, you know, I would have loved to be me. But also, if that was like my whole intention for going into MetaPower, I would have been deeply disappointed. And so, you know, I would say there are so many benefits and there are so many stories. For those of you that jump on regularly, you'll hear all the different stories and benefits that people experience. You know, I've had pretty great skin my whole life, but one of the things that it's really supported people with is their skin. It's actually helped me heal like a knee issue that I've had for 10 years, which has come, you know, in the last 2 months. So it's like the longer you take it, the more the body has the opportunity to repair and heal. And all of a sudden, something like I could never lunge. I couldn't lunge without being in absolute agony. Now I can. I do have to be a little bit mindful of how much I do it, but the strength is rebuilding, the cartilage is rebuilding, you know, so
it's
I
like
think
a
really
treasure chest, isn't it? Oh, this is going to improve for you, and this is going to improve, and the longer you're on it, it's like, oh, lucky dip. What do I get next?
totally. And like I feel like the healthiest that I have in my entire adult life. Sure, I felt really healthy when I was young, but it just keeps getting better, really.
Yeah.
And being open or starting to understand through different practitioners as well that, you know, it's not like the symptoms are not necessarily the root cause. It's same with like if we think about essential oils, right? And versus some of the medications on the market, like they're going straight to the cells, they're getting straight to the root cause instead of addressing the symptoms. So this is why nature is so great, and this is why MetaPower is seriously the most intelligent product that I have ever come across. And it is like the sachets on its own are 1/10 of the price to what this other protocol was asking for me.
Yeah, good point. Can we go back to, so it took you a little while to say yes to MetaPower, maybe just the convenience of being able to buy it in Australia or maybe other reasons. When you did first start on it, was it easy to make it into a habit, or did you have to consciously do that?
Yeah, I love this question. So I was not a supplement girl previous to MetaPower. I didn't believe in them. I just was like, we can get it all from our food. Well, joke's on us. Soil's not as healthy as it once was. Neither is the world. Anyway, I digress. For me, I had the box on the bench and I had it in a place. I think I had all of them at the start. And then I kind of just focused on the MetaPower sachets for a bit. I think I did the sachets for a week and then I brought in Assist and on and off done the oil, depending on my memory. So it's still not really great, but I've got everything sitting there. Now, after day 3, I felt so good that I remembered to take it. And so what I have suggested to people, because, you know, I've had other people share from day 5 to up to day, like week 3 to a month and a half is what the other person that I was speaking about said before they started to be like, oh yeah, I'm never going to stop taking that now. Like, how would I ever forget that? So putting reminders in the phone. Actually, there has been a few days where if my routine is off, it'll get to 1 o'clock. This is usually on a Sunday when I'm just chilling and taking it easy. Then I am like, oh my God, I haven't even had my MetaPower today. Like, what's going on? For me, I deeply believe in, like, while we're learning something new, yes, like having reminders and things like that, but habit stacking. So from day 1, I took my MetaPower after I did my morning meditation. So I get up in the morning, I scrape my tongue, I go to the toilet, I sit down, I meditate, and then I would have my morning MetaPower. So if we can find what we're already doing in our day to stack on top of that, because if we're trying to implement a new habit from nothing, like it's going to get forgotten. Life is busy. Life is so full. So what are we already doing in the day that we can stack on top of that? And then, yeah, what I always share is like, once you experience the benefits, that you're not going to stop. I mean, do you ever forget?
I think it's exactly what you're saying there. Once you harness that feeling of how good it is, there's no reason why you wouldn't want to take it. So yeah, connecting to that is powerful. Yeah.
Mm.
And I love also the ease of it. You know, you're saying life is so full, it's so cluttered. So how easy is it just to tear a sachet, stir it in some water and drink it? Like, it's easy.
Yeah.
We don't have to add all these things into our life.
Yeah. And if you've got it somewhere like that you can see, particularly like in the middle of the bench for a little bit, like you cannot miss it, or on your bedside table, or, you know, on the stove if you make yourself, you know, something on the stove every morning. So you cannot. And then like eventually the habit forms. And another hack that I really love is using like a $2 milk frother from Kmart to zhuzh it. It changes the like consistency of it, and it mixes in really well, because, you know, if you're one of the, I don't have time to be like stirring the fork or whatever stories that we tell ourselves. Yeah, I love the little like, it's kind of like a meditation too, like, yes, this is what I'm doing. And then I get to tell myself some positive affirmations while I'm having it as well. You know, how I'm fueling and starting my day and supporting my body and nourishing my body, and how it's supporting me to thrive and feel more vital.
Oh, beautiful tips here. Hope everyone's taking note. And thank you everyone for being on. If you're watching on YouTube, you're welcome to ask questions too. So keep that in mind. Is it a joy for you, Courtney, to tell other people about this? You know, the feeling of vibrancy and what it's done for you. Do you then find yourself enjoying that for others and helping them?
Absolutely. It's so interesting, the amount of people, like, so naturally, as I started taking MetaPower is actually when I also got into the doterra business and sharing the products. I'd been using the oils for years, but MetaPower has changed my life. I naturally share it all the time. And it's just something that happens. I am a walking, what's the word called? Like, I just spit referrals out of my mouth all the time, right? It comes very naturally to me. And what I love is that there is really not a single experience that someone has shared, like, I'm going through like this rough thing, that I'm like, oh, I actually know someone or have heard about a story that MetaPower is supported with that. And I understand the way that the ingredients work, like the NMN and resveratrol or the collagen, or, you know, the different things that will support different people differently. So yeah, it's a really intelligent product, and I love sharing it. And I love the opportunity that I have here tonight to share my story too, because it's a great opportunity for me to remember where I've come from when life is feeling, you know, really good, or like I've just kind of become, this has been normalized, this way of feeling, because it really wasn't. Like Courtney a year ago was not smiling like this.
Wow. And only a year ago, really, it's not that long, is it?
No. And like my greatest joy, like as a very, like, I mean, it sucked packing on 30 kilos and not understanding why, but it really sucked not being able to move my body in the way that I want to. I'm a high energy person. I got a lot of energy, and not being able to like move it. One of like, exercise is one thing. I couldn't dance. I couldn't go to ecstatic dance or like, you know, have a boogie with my friends without getting a migraine. I had a little like at home like dance party with some friends the other weekend, and I just like caught myself like, I remember the last time they had a party, I couldn't make it. And then the time before that, I couldn't jump on the dance floor with everyone because I was too afraid that I was going to get a migraine and have to go home. Like the new lease on life that MetaPower has given me, I could not, like, I owe my life to sharing MetaPower.
And I guess that's what you're hearing when you're hearing people telling you what's going on for them, and you know there's the answer to help someone get their life back because it's happened for you.
Mm.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think as we hear your story, a lot of us will either, resonate with it, identify with it, or we'll know someone who's going through it. So there's that ripple effect too of, okay, so it's done this for Courtney, so I can help my friend or family member. So yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. What sort of thing do you say to someone when they're just hearing about it and about to make that decision to give it a try? What's your advice in that situation?
I mean, it's a win-win-win. It literally comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. What company on the planet is that generous? Not to go like even deeper into the generosity of doTERRA and the way that they support their customers. So you've literally got nothing to lose. If you are, whether you're at a point where you're like, life's all right, or you're really struggling, it's so affordable. You've got nothing to lose. Give it a go. Write down everything that you're experiencing and observe, like document your changes. I'm so glad that I took before photos so that I could take them, later. I also wish that I honestly did like some measurements and some other things. I know someone who just did this whole she measured her mood, she measured her body, like everything. Massive skeptic. And just see what happens. If you have a charm, let's call it, like, oh, this, like, maybe MetaPower will be the thing, give it a red hot go and see what happens. And also, my honest suggestion would be do it for 6 months, like commit to taking it for 6 months and notice and document what happens. Let's say MetaPower, I could take it for 5 months, or I could take that other protocol from the Ayurvedic doctor for 1 month.
True. Yeah, very valid. Yeah. And that 6 months gives you a better scope to look at the changes. Like you say, for some people it kicks in early, for others it can take longer.
And it really just depends on what's going on in your body, how old you are. Like I'm 30, so the way that some of the ingredients work and amendment and resveratrol, like they're literally biologically reversing our age. I feel like the younger we are, the easier that's going to be able to do. Now, interestingly enough, like our biological age is not the same as how old we are. So I felt like I went from 26 to 45 overnight. And I actually feel more like a 30-year-old, which is really nice. My grandma, as soon as I found out about these benefits, my 86-year-old grandma, I was like, you need to be taking this, take it every day. And after a few months, she's like, oh, I'm not really experiencing anything except my nails are growing strong. And that's annoying because I can't cut them with clippers. And I was like, okay. But then I just started inquiring about some things, and her memory is better. She has more energy in the day and she won't stop taking it now. So, but she was comparing her journey, and yeah, this is important. Like no one else's journey on planet Earth ever is the same as yours. So your journey on MetaPower is also not going to be the same as someone else's. And thinking that our journey has to look like someone else's is only going to set us up for disappointment. So instead of focusing, like, it's so great, for example, if any of the things that I've shared tonight are things that you've experienced, resonates with you, but also your timeline might be different, and what I didn't share before was that like a lot of the period stuff kind of sorted itself out with Calm and changing a few lifestyle things. But the consistency in my mood, I really am grateful for MetaPower for. And this comes back to like our blood glucose levels being regulated. It's so interesting, the links that we do not know about how our body works. Oh my God. If only that was taught like in school. The things that are actually important.
Yeah, you've learned a lot, and you're sharing it too, which is great about, the hormone support from MetaPower. Is there a way people can hear more about this from you? Are you doing more online education, things like that?
So I've got a link to a masterclass replay that dives into a little bit about this, which I'm happy to share. And then the other thing is a downloadable ebook that goes into detail about how our blood glucose is then affecting our cortisol, our weight, what happens when we are experiencing estrogen dominance, which can, show up as so many of the symptoms that I had previous to taking MetaPower, and how we can incorporate simple strategies for healthy living instead of it being so overcomplicated that it gets overwhelming. Because, MetaPower is great and it is my holy grail and I'm obsessed with it and I'll probably never stop taking it. And I also pair it with a healthy lifestyle. For the most part, I prioritize whole foods, meals that are actually going to support my body to nourish and thrive.
Yeah, we've had lovely chats here. So Diane was also saying she agrees with you. She suggests to people to set an alarm on their phone to help with reminding them to take it. So getting into that routine. And Serena said, thanks for your tip on sharing with others about how not to compare your journey. Even if you're having the same sort of story, the timeline, the timing will be different. Oh, and Diane's asking, do you take the lifelong vitality supplements as well?
Great question, Diane. So, smarty pants little know-it-all Courtney, when she first started taking MetaPower, did not take lifelong vitality because I was above it or something. I don't know, needed more proof. Who knows the reasons that we do these things. Anyway, 6 months later in December, I started taking lifelong vitality. I wish I started taking it at the same time. And I also see how I may not have noticed which did, like, what helped with what. So the lifelong vitality, what I noticed after taking that was my joy levels and my vitality was just enhanced even more. It's called lifelong vitality for a reason, right? Now I notice when I'm not taking lifelong vitality, specifically like around my bowel function and how optimal that is in a day. So I would never stop taking either. And I think for other people, like just really getting a gauge on where they are at. What I'm now focusing on is starting with MetaPower, either just the sachets or the MetaPower complete bundle with the assist and the oil, and then stacking lifelong vitality on top of that. And that really depends on the person too. Like there's someone that I suggested lifelong vitality and the MetaPower Advantage to, who has been having like severe OCD things going on for ages and have seen all of these doctors and things and was like, it's just not getting any better. And I was like, can we just focus on your gut and just see what happens? And actually he had a great response. So yeah, I think really personalizing for each person what is going to work best. If someone's never taken supplements before, it doesn't really believe in them, start small.
And I guess it reflects your journey as well, how you started and then you help someone else in a similar way. And that's the beauty of it. We can tailor it and help people in that gentle way. So I think Serena's saying, I have had a customer take lifelong vitality, then she went off it after a month as she didn't notice a difference in her body. Have you had this before, Courtney?
So before when I said about MetaPower, like I'd be committing to 6 months. I'd really honestly be committing to 12. Like how many years of our life have we spent just, doing whatever we've been doing that got to a point where it wasn't serving us anymore? If we are really, truly committed to our health, and it's only the people that are going to find these products and want something different. Generally, like a lot of people that have kind of, are at wit's end. For me, my personal journey with natural medicine was because the medical system was not supporting me and it was doing my head in. And I was like, surely there is another way. Like I can't just be given more pills for something that's already not working. Like, what is that logic? I don't understand. I didn't know anything else. And so it just so happened that after literally okay, show me the people that, this is the work for. 6 months later, I met someone who was using essential oils and I was like, oh God, there is something else. you know, so a lot of people have kind of had enough. And then there are the people that, you know, just see that you're doing well and they're like, I want that too. You're so shiny, you're so vibrant, you're so energized. Like, can I have that? Sure. Yeah. Meet people where they're at.
Love that. You've got the MetaPower glow. Well, thank you so much, Courtney. It's been a delight to hear how well it's worked for you. And all of these insights are inspiring and motivating. So thank you. To everyone who's on the Zoom watching live, again, thanks for coming along. It's a great community here on a Monday night. I appreciate each of you. If you're watching this back on YouTube, please click subscribe because it'll help you see the latest and greatest. And I thank you for your time too. Courtney, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful Let's Chat MetaPower segment with you. Appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure.